Well, what's going on, everybody? It's your boy Spencer, and we are recording this for a second time. But as you guys can see from the title, we are going to be debating who has a better collection of Dragon Ball Z arcs. So, like I said, we already recorded this video. So what we're actually doing here is going back over it. And I think it's kind of better this way, too, for us, because we kind of, fleshed out our thoughts, during that podcast live. And now that we kind of already had that discussion, I think we can kind of make this more coherent.
We wanted to maintain the integrity of our original selections.
Yeah, we don't want to pass this off as this is the first time, because otherwise I think we would both at some point just be like, what are we doing?
That's the first step down the path of Boss Baby calls us at 3 a.m. type videos.
It kind of is, yeah.
That's the first
Once
step.
you get there, there's no going back.
Once you start faking content, you really can't. Really can't put the toothpaste back in the tube once that happens.
Yeah, I'm not ready to sell my soul just quite yet.
All right, so it's going to be more so of a this or that kind of situation, and where we go through these arcs. So
yeah, we tried to match them up to where maybe they're either similar or it's kind of like.
We wanted to take ones that were similar in quality, yeah. So kind of matching up arcs that we thought were similar in quality.
Yeah, at least to a best. It's not going to be one for one, but to the best of our abilities. Okay.
Let's get right into it, man.
We'll start to what I think is the least interesting debate because these were the last two picked.
So these are both our bottom tier selections.
Right.
Maybe your bottom tier.
Really? You really? Okay.
I do kind of. Okay.
Let's just say what it is now. Okay, so Kevin took Battle of Gods. So we interpret them as the movie,
Yeah, when we talk about both of these, because Spencer picked a movie arc too. You picked Resurrection F.
Right.
So when we analyze these, we have the movie in mind.
Yeah, because we all know that it was rushed during that time, and it kind of it made a lot of people upset.
The anime, it's not worth.
Battle of Gods did a couple of interesting things, I guess, if we're going to talk about for a second. They had those, the one huge difference was that Beerus and Goku were punching each other so hard it was, breaking the fabric of reality.
That was in the series, right?
That was not in the movie. It was definitely in the anime. That's kind of the biggest change, I think, from both of these. Regardless, Frieza is a lot more strong in the Resurrection F in the anime.
I would still say that the movies are still the definitive version of those arcs because those are the ones that Toriyama worked on himself. So Those are the definitive versions of those arcs for me. The reason why did you?
I feel like we just went on a huge tangent.
Why did you pick Resurrection F? We all don't know the answer.
Well, I didn't have a choice.
Yeah, it was literally the only one left. When we were originally picking these, it was literally the last one left. So it was the one that Spencer had to choose.
There's so many horrible things about it.
You have nothing nice to say about it, do you?
I like Golden Frieza. The design of it.
Yeah, it looks cool. Golden Frieza does look cool. I picked Battle of Gods because I think it being the first kind of full-fledged Dragon Ball story, since in however many years, I think they did a really good job of kind of widening the scale of the story in the series, and at the same time kind of easing people back into it.
It was a much easier ease of getting back into it than GT ever was.
Exactly. Because, it kind of, GT, takes place kind of in a couple years after DBZ, right?
Right. It's very soon after. It's essentially the continuation of the story, as if it was never ending.
Mm-hmm. And yeah, it was just the tone and pacing and just the overall feel of GT always felt off, but this felt very much like natural Dragon Ball. And so, I do think that, regardless of what your opinion on Super is, I enjoy myself pretty much every time I think about that arc or go back and watch the movie. So yeah, I really do. I actually genuinely like Battle of Gods, and I didn't just pick it just because it was one of the only ones left or anything like that. I picked it because I genuinely like it.
I would have obviously preferred to have Battle of Gods over Resurrection F. I just think that because I got to go first, so that my penalty for going first was having.
Was getting weighed down by Resurrection F at the end.
That essentially my last pick was already.
I was strategizing around that. It's well, at least I won't have Resurrection F.
Yeah.
And the reason I just hate it so much is just because it doesn't really contribute anything positive or overall meaningful to the canon.
Nothing changed.
Nothing.
At all.
Well, nothing changes, but at the same time, I feel like the only thing that by nothing changing, I think the only thing left for it to do is to damage the image of certain characters. Vegeta got absolutely fucking shafted in Resurrection F. Gohan was made to look like the ultimate soy boy, as we say. But yeah, like I think taking the the moment of defeating Frieza away from Vegeta kind of pissed me off too. And a lot of it is just, it feels inconsequential. I feel like nothing changes about the story if you just remove it, which is why I think Toyotaro just completely left it out of the manga. It's not in the manga.
I guess you can say the best part about this movie is how bad Gohan was, because fans were so upset. I think they wrote him in more.
They gave him they buffed his role in Tournament of Power.
By Resurrection F being so bad, it made this better.
Toriyama was just like, wait, guys, like, I'll fix Gohan. Just
planted the seeds.
I just, like... Also, the debut of Super Saiyan Blue, I feel like, could have been done way better
if it was... lost the weight of being a Super Saiyan.
That's what I'm saying. Like, I think, one, it was largely inconsequential. Like, it didn't... The situation did not require Goku and Vegeta doing Super Saiyan Blue.
As far as we're concerned, what's the difference between Super Saiyan God and Super Saiyan Blue?
There's no noticeable there's no discernible difference, just because, other than appearance, just because we never got to see what the full scope of the Super Saiyan God powers were. And so, like, my issue is just, like, if you had put this in the Universe 6 tournament, I think it would have looked way better. And we can talk about that later, but
what they should do, now that they are making movies, let's get a good movie before he knows how to go Super Saiyan Blue, where
jump back in the timeline a little bit before,
all movies were like that, the Dragon Ball
I don't know. I think Super Saiyan God got a good amount of, like, time in battle in the Broly movie too, though.
Not really.
I don't know.
It's one fight, so it would be cool to see if he didn't have Super Saiyan Blue to back out on.
I would just like to see those transformations be a big deal, like when they are utilized, So let's move on to the next this or that for the Dragon Ball arcs. And I should say, disclaimer, it's just Dragon Ball Z to Super, because neither of us have seen the original Dragon Ball series. And also, I think thematically, it's just too much of...
Save ourselves like 3 hours.
Yeah, and it's just thematically, it's too much of a departure, I think, from Super and Dragon Ball Z, so it just makes more sense to just include these, in my opinion.
Yeah, so I have the Frieza Saga, and you have the Android Saga.
Interesting. That's an interesting bout, because I think that's, between you and I, that's two of our favorite arcs. So why'd you go for the Frieza Saga?
Goku has a really great buff, and it's just cool to see.
Super Saiyan's awesome. It's just like that's the moment.
Yeah, essentially Super Saiyan is when all of us American kids were like, all right,
that's when kind of the paradigm shifted. Yeah.
Yeah, everything changes, and that was. I also was talking about this with the last podcast, like the culmination of events. I know we're not rating Dragon Ball series, but like just think of that entire collective story, like all that it went through, and for it to like accumulate to the actual backstory behind Saiyans, and like Goku being this legendary character who it doesn't end up not really being one, but for the time being, we thought like. We also said this, if the story had ended after the Frieza Saga, it would maybe go down as one of the best animes. Yeah, because what we're thinking about, that's around 70 episodes, right? Or maybe even less than that. Like 50, 60 episodes of just the Saiyan Saga into the Frieza Saga. Yeah, definitely. If it's open, like Saiyan Saga, if you're only looking at the Saiyan Saga and the Frieza Saga, and those are your two kind of, reference points for the whole show, for the entire story, for sure, because those two arcs are really concise, really good storytelling, incredible action. I think the art style was amazing. I think Vegeta kind of like has this churn to it. That's what I'm saying. Everyone has this like development, like crazy. The story is just like, if you look at those two arcs, the story just looks really focused in those. If that's the entire scope of it, for sure. Yeah, it would have been really dope. But I think that's what truly makes this arc that special. It's not that I picked the Android Saga over it. Yeah, I think I picked it first. You picked it first. I really love the Frieza Saga, but I also really do love the Android Saga, just because one of my favorite aspects of Dragon Ball is how invested in long-term storytelling it is. Like, they will introduce characters that don't seem relevant in the moment, but like later on, an entire saga or arc will be about them. And that's basically how I felt about, like, the red, like the
the trials and tribulations Goku had against the Red Ribbon Army in the original Dragon Ball, which is one of the few like elements of that series that I remember, playing like a huge role, like a massive role in like not only just this arc later on in the series, but like all of Dragon Ball, like the Red Ribbon Army leading into the androids, leading into the splitting of the timelines, leading to Trunks, like leading to an entire universe getting obliterated pretty much. So I just like that was one of my favorite elements. Vegeta becoming Vegeta's my favorite character in the show, so I think his journey to becoming a Super Saiyan was super compelling. I really love the Android Saga, man. It puts the spotlights on a few other people. It's kind of like has that air of like searching for like Goku. It
was a little bit of time to be like, what if Dragon Ball Z didn't have Goku?
Yeah, exactly. It was kind of just like searching for Goku's successor, peeking around the idea of just like taking the spotlight away from Goku, which I thought was really dope, and it got like really good moments for some of my favorite characters.
Oh yeah, I love that saga too. Here we go.
Next one.
I have the Goku Black arc, and you have the Tournament of Power.
Oh, wow. I'm going to really enjoy this. So, I think you did pick the Goku Black arc over the Tournament of Power.
No, I forced your hand. When we were voting, I took...
Oh, yeah. You forced me into taking the Tournament of Power because you didn't know...
I wanted because I wanted the Frieza Saga.
Yeah,
that's how it rolled out.
But you do love the Goku Black arc. And you should,
I really do.
And you should explain that to me.
That was I watched the show every single week, like, since it released. But that was the first arc for me that I felt like, okay, this is a Dragon Ball Z arc.
It feels like it had a Dragon Ball feel to you?
I mean, Dragon Ball Z used to be about, like, protecting the planet. And, like, we hadn't really gotten that in Dragon Ball Super just quite yet. Like, there were never really any serious implications outside of Beerus fake saying he's going to destroy the Earth. Like, that was the closest we ever got. So, like, think about Boo and just everything. All of it. Like, that used to be the original idea, saving planet Earth. And, like, that is exactly what they did.
Yeah, I will agree that that's kind of the first instance in Super where there is this sense of urgency or danger to everybody. But, no one who was watching the anime at the time of Battle of Gods airing was like, oh, Beerus is going to destroy the world. Like, we all, like, literally we all knew that he wasn't going to, so... Yeah, I get what you're saying there. I went with the Tournament of Power because I honestly think it is one of the best arcs in all of Dragon Ball. I love the Tournament of Power. I just think it gives some, like I said, it's for similar reasons of the Android Saga. Like, characters other than Goku get some really good moments in the Tournament of Power. I love the idea of 17 being the sole survivor and kind of making the wish to restore everybody. Here's my thing with Dragon Ball, man. If you look at the Tournament of Power strictly from the perspective of power scaling and whether or not the logic of the universe is holding up in the events of the story, like, fuck that, man. I hate viewing stories like that, and especially anime, because I know it's really prevalent, but you miss out on a lot of good storytelling by focusing solely on that. And when you focus on the Tournament of Power from a storytelling perspective, I think it becomes way more compelling, and obviously is like bolstered a lot by it's easily the best artwork that Super has had throughout the duration of the entire series, because it was pretty fucking rough in some aspects, and we all know why, but it was still rough. But the animation for the Tournament of Power looked amazing. And I like Jiren. I like Jiren a lot. I know you don't like Jiren, and I tried to explain to you why I thought Jiren was dope. But I do really like Jiren because I think like the end all be all tournaments with the end all be all fighter being Jiren, I think is really cool because Jiren is kind of like a mirror of Goku, or at least what Goku aspires to be. He is Goku's dream realized. Jiren is the strongest of the strong. He strived every day to become stronger, and he did, and he succeeded. And Goku being able to being confronted with that and realizing that, like, you know, a sense of maybe the opportunity to change is presented to Goku as a result of that, and we'll obviously find out if the Moro arc ever gets animated. But I really, really liked the all of the narrative stuff they did in the Tournament of Power. Power scaling be damned. I don't give a fuck about all that power scaling shit.
My only real
Ultra Instinct is also really cool.
It is very. It was actually it was the only cool transformation in Super.
Ultra Instinct, yeah, and it was also
you could say
the
Kaioken's, but I don't know. That was the only time that Super Saiyan Blue actually felt powerful.
It's also filler. It's also not like
it's not
like definitively canon. But Ultra Instinct it looks really cool. Different. It looks really cool, and they also like kind of carved it out in the story, which I thought was even better. That's why the original Super Saiyan transformation is good, because it is a part of the story, you know. So
yeah, the only thing I just didn't like about Tournament Power, I've told you this before, I just think it's too big. There's too many.
There were too many there were like 80 fighters. We didn't need
Master Roshi or Krillin. Like,
I don't know. I really like the Master Roshi moments, especially the ones that he had with Goku.
But you could write it without them. Like, that wasn't a quintessential part of the tournament.
I'm mad that like you had Tien in there instead of like Gotenks or something. It would have been funny to see. I think Gotenks would have been kind of interesting, actually.
We also talked about this before, like how there is no real reason that Trunks and Goten should not be in two slots.
Dude, they're like prodigious Saiyans, dude.
They almost beat Boo.
And like they basically kind of like stamped no on us the moment like we first saw them in the anime, when they were like, oh, we haven't been training in a while.
Yeah, they actually aged backwards 2 years.
Yeah, like they were less mature. Like they had like little sense of urgency. They were like little kids.
They have they're like toddlers.
Yeah, they were legitimately like toddlers. So they kind of were just like, forget about it. Like it's not gonna happen.
So weird.
It's not gonna happen. I don't understand why. It could have been a really good opportunity to do some character building. Like, there's some cool built-in stuff for Goten's character.
Dude, they developed so much in the Buu saga.
That's what I'm saying.
They grew up like a little bit.
That's what I'm saying. Like, at this point already, they've been through a lot. Yeah. And so you could have, with all that time we fucking had sitting around during the Tournament of Power, man, because there was a lot. There were a lot of episodes of the Tournament of Power, and a lot of them were spent on like Gohan is fighting a Power Ranger, dude. Like, it was just like, we could have had, I get it, like Roshi, like I think the evil containment stuff was pretty cool, but like I also would have, like, if you put in some Goten or Trunks character development in that place instead, I think I would have liked that better.
If it's condensed, you can give more powerful moments. You don't have to, like, because during the Tournament of Power, everybody has to have their own, or else, like, why would they have written them into the story, basically? Mm-hmm. So if you have fewer people, then you can focus more.
Waste less time. So
like Gohan should have beaten Gestapo, whatever his name is.
Dispo.
Yeah, Dispo. Or no, not Dispo.
Or Toppo.
Yeah, Toppo. That's what I'm thinking. Or Top, I think they call him.
I think Vegeta ends up eliminating him.
But I think that would have been a much better moment if Gohan did it.
Interesting. What do we have next?
Yeah. Also, Super Saiyan Rose, very amazing and cool, and he has a scythe. That automatically.
Yeah, dude. I don't care. I don't care what you think about Super Saiyan Rose and its narrative significance. Who cares, man? It looks really cool. And it's also easily the funnest character to use on fighters, in my opinion.
Oh yeah, it's great. So, all right, this will be an interesting one. I have the Saiyan Saga, and you have the Cell Saga.
Damn, they're about to cancel me, bro. They're about to cancel me.
Actually, it's so funny. I think 2 days ago, I watched a ton of episodes from the Saiyan Saga.
Yeah, I know. But, okay, here's my thing. I kind of don't fuck with the Saiyan Saga as much as everyone else does. Not to say that I don't like it. It's Dragon Ball, and I love it. But a lot of people would say it's the definitive, best Dragon Ball arc. A lot of people will say that. It's like that, or people say it falls off the rails around the Cell Saga.
You know what I think is extremely so special about this? Because this was the continuation of Dragon Ball.
Yeah, for sure.
And I wouldn't even say the Raditz part that was a really ease into the series, because at the end of the day, they were able to join forces and defeat the villain.
Piccolo.
Yeah. So
that's a big deal.
That was a big deal, in and of itself. But it's that could have been perceived to be in Dragon Ball, in my opinion. That could have been another little continuation of the story to happen. But when you bring in Vegeta, who is just leaps and bounds above anything the show has ever seen,
way more powerful than
blowing
anybody.
Up mountains and the moon.
Yeah,
the scaling of the show ramped to an entirely new universe. That was the establishment of that, and I think that was really cool if you think about it that way.
Yeah, I've never really considered it, because you and I didn't really watch Dragon Ball, so the idea of Piccolo as a sworn enemy of Goku doesn't make sense. The idea of a bunch of Goku's current kind of supporting cast, the idea of him like being super like buddy with them is just really kind of strange. And we grew up on DBZ, so like Piccolo was always Goku's homie in our like, you know, in our like, you know, frame of reference. So I will say, yeah, that's valid, and I think that, you know, for those people, that probably has a much bigger reason into why they look back on it so fondly. But I don't know, man. When I watch it, it's just like the shit drags sometimes, and for that urgency that should come along with the scale of the show being blown way up as far as just like the danger and the urgent, like all of this stuff that's going on, the stakes. It takes a lot of breaks in that, you know, and there are too many moments that don't kind of like maintain that urgency for me.
But it is, again, so interesting because of Dragon Ball. Like, we never really even knew what Goku was that entire show for the most part. And then you just get like a quick introduction, like, hey, this world that you think this little like like Superman kid, he actually like belongs to this like other massive race, and that race had a massive influence in the world, and you know.
No, yeah, definitely. I see that. I see it from that perspective. I just didn't really. I never got to experience it that way, and I don't think I'm never gonna be able to like I don't think pound it into my head that that's kind of how I should interpret it.
Yeah.
Just because I'll feel like I'm watching like when I eventually go through and watch the original Dragon Ball, I will feel like I'm watching a spinoff, you know, because my like to Dragon Ball is to me is Dragon Ball Z, because that's when it caught me, you know.
Yep.
All right.
Okay, so there we go.
What did I have? I had the
right, you had the Cell Saga.
The Cell Saga. Yeah, I'm just like, again, another moment where if you end the show there, you tell a very good and complete story. You know, this like where everyone has an arc that's satisfactory. I think, you know, like you further along Vegeta, you know, because you kind of had him at the anti-hero role in you know, in the Frieza saga, and then once you moved on to Cell, like he kind of develops like a sense of justice, or in a sense like a sense of duty to somebody other than himself, which is why he fights in the first place, right? Well, not in the first place, but continues to fight. So, and that I thought was really dope, you know, even if they kind of left some of it unresolved. Trunks was amazing, dude. Trunks was just like the introduction of him from those points on was just, I really liked Trunks's, like, there's a reason he was established as like a favorite character for people. So I think it was really good in that. Obviously Gohan, if the series ended, it would have been great. But unfortunately, that was Gohan's peak, and I think at the very least we should be able to appreciate the Cell Saga for that. Like to see Gohan at the peak of his powers, being able to like easily there was a point in time where Gohan was the most powerful character in Dragon Ball,
and that character is like has been developed through Dragon Ball Z only. It had nothing to do with Dragon Ball. Well,
so it was like a character like him and Vegeta were just characters that were made through this show.
Grow up. Like Gohan, we saw like grow up from a child to like saving the universe.
Yeah, and I think, like I said, yeah, when you put that kind of thing into perspective, Gohan was the helpless child in the very first arc. You know, he was the
crying baby.
Yeah, he was the crying baby that Goku had to save. And, you know, now Goku, like, coming to that point in the Cell Saga, Goku's dead, and like the only way they're gonna save the world is if Gohan like amps to a brand new level and becomes the strongest character. So it's really dope. Unfortunately, they kind of neutered him afterwards, but you know, I think even
just the beginning of the Buu saga, he was still all that in a bag of chips. He had lost it a little bit, but he was.
I know, but they would make that. That's the part of the reason why it kind of. See, like when you put it in that perspective, like it still kind of upsets me because it's part of the story that Gohan is weaker now than he was in the Cell Saga.
Then he becomes the strongest character in the show later in the
when he like saga, but yeah, we'll obviously talk about that in a second, but yeah, I think the fact that you see Gohan kind of reach that peak of his arc, I think is reason enough to appreciate the Cell Saga.
No, I enjoy it, and there are definitely times where I go back and
Those are super fun episodes to watch too.
Yeah, the last few episodes of like Gohan like starting the fight with Cell to like ending it, like that entire little mini episode series is so awesome.
Yeah, for sure.
Okay, last one. I have the Buu Saga, and you have the Universe 6 tournament. Or
yes, the Universe 6 tournament from Super.
Yeah.
You have the Majin Buu Saga. Let's talk about one of the greatest sagas in the history of Dragon Ball, which is so strange. It feels so strange because I'm saying that knowing that like there are going to be people who listen to this that are just like, what the fuck is he talking about?
The first season of the Buu Saga could potentially be my favorite season of like the entire series.
You get kind of good slice of life kind of Dragon Ball episodes.
If you only have one season to pick, like in the entire series, for sure, this is it for me.
You think
like
so?
That like beginning of the Majin series, because it's introduced as like these guys are like in their primes. Like Goku and Vegeta feel like they are like legitimately becoming the strongest, like honing their craft to perfection. Gohan is still like respectable at that point, and even has like a huge arc later where he becomes the most powerful character in the show again.
Mm-hmm.
But yeah, that Majin part, even before Buu ever shows up, and then you just get this
with Babidi and
where they're like going towards Babidi to try to stop it. They didn't even know what it was in the beginning. Like they were just trying to like stop whatever this plan was with the Supreme Kai, who was also cool.
Yeah, that's what I was saying.
Like a fighting Supreme Kai who like had no idea what was going on.
Great world building, like just like I said, like gradual, like really gradual stuff. And like I said, that this arc even planted seeds for stuff that would happen later on in Super. Like Beerus is the one that puts old Kai in the sword. Like that's awesome, man. Like to have it all kind of, come full circle is really, really cool. So I love the Buu arc, man. It gives me
that fight between Goku and Vegeta, like just because we had talked about this when we were watching it.
So good, man.
Together, we were like, oh my gosh, because like
it doesn't hit like that anymore.
They have this initial fight, like the fight that starts the entire series off, and since then, like Vegeta, he lost that fight,
and they haven't really gone after. They have not gone at it since.
They've had these other conflicts in the way, but in the back of Vegeta's mind this entire time,
he's like, I gotta fade this man. I have to go beat his ass.
He's like, I know, like I'm kind of becoming a good person now, but I'm still like,
I still have to give him hands. Like regardless of where I stand on the morality scale, Vegeta still had to give Goku hands for his pride, for the sake of his pride only, bro. It was really like that fight. That fight hit so hard when we watched it, man.
And it's just animated. Like I think that's
the best
animated
beautiful
fight scene in like at all of them.
It's beautiful.
Colored. It is colored differently. Like that fight. It has a certain different tint to it, and the show just feels so good.
Dude, it's. I love that fight. And like I said, it kind of gives you.
Small part of it.
It is contributory to why I think like. Regardless of how it treats power, like I think a lot of people hate it because of the power scaling. It's all over the place. People get one-shotted and when they shouldn't and stuff like that, and it's dumb. But I get a lot of enjoyment out of the moments in that arc, so I don't really it doesn't like that stuff doesn't matter to me, man. It's a really enjoyable arc for that narrative stuff, like we talked about with the culmination of kind of Goku and Vegeta's rivalry.
And then later in that very arc, they join together.
Yeah, exactly. It's the culmination of their rivalry, and then kind of like Vegeta accepting Goku as a friendly rival, more so as like sworn enemy. It's really dope. Like you get that stuff, you get the narrative, like the really good, like the stuff that they kind of have been building towards and referencing for a long time, and then you get like the really dumb fan service stuff, which is like really enjoyable to watch. Like when you have your brain turned off, dude. Like I really do think you get the best of both in Dragon Ball in the Majin Buu saga.
I was just thinking of a great moment, like when they first start fighting, they first go Super Saiyan 2 in front of each other, and they didn't really know if they had figured it out just quite yet, because it was kind of up in the air, and you just see him, he's like, so you figured it out too, and I'm like, ooh man, like they're ready to go, so.
It was amazing.
I guess I really am almost ignoring like all the other events that happen, but it's still good. Like you get Vegeta, like that's a very special moment. That,
the whole for me, like the best part of that arc is Vegeta under Babidi's control. Like
of course,
it's just.
I don't think the rest of it is unbearable by
I really enjoy the rest of it, but like the final atonement stuff, it is easily the peak of the arc for me. But and my favorite character moment in the entire show is just Vegeta getting to the culmination of just like understanding that he needs to atone for everything that he's done and making the sacrifice. Like it is an incredible moment. It looks beautiful too. So just off that alone, man, is enough to make that one of my favorite Dragon Ball arcs. And to end it, I actually have the tournament, the Universe 6 tournament, which in scale from how I feel about the Majin Buu arc, like versus this, I feel way more passionate. No, I mean like I'm way more passionate about the Majin Buu arc than I am about the tournament, the Universe 6 arc. But I do really like that arc, and I think when you view it through the lens that I did of just like I didn't fuck with any of the Dragon Ball anime up until they were done doing the Frieza stuff and the Battle of Gods stuff. So like all of that just felt like rehashing to me. So I wasn't really going to take any kind of interest into Super until basically this arc started. So as more of an introduction for me into Super, really enjoyed it. Like I just like, because I recently went back and watched all of it, and when I was watching those episodes, I really enjoyed myself. You know, it felt like the actual introduction to Super. And when you view it through the lens of like, oh, potentially if they had actually had Super Saiyan Blue debut in this arc, would have been amazing, dude. Like as like we've kind of been seeing Goku and Vegeta mess around in these like really kind of like peak forms, and then they take it to a whole new level when things kind of get even semi-serious, was really cool to me. I love establishing the relationship between Vegeta and Kaba. It's just it's a solid, enjoyable arc. There's not like a lot of stakes, but it's a fun watch.
Resurrection F really just does not start it's just not a good movie.
It's just bad, dude.
I'm just thinking of like, why was that the debut of Super Saiyan Blue, you know?
They just wanted new forms, man. They just wanted to show off the new forms. I don't really understand, man. It was also Toriyama's first time making a movie, you know, like beginning to end a full-length feature film. So, and I think he like has talked about how it was like a really different experience for him, but bruh, that was I wish we could get that one back, man. I think we would all like to get that one back.
They should make it, yeah. Well, what are you gonna do? Okay, so that was our list. We'll put it in the description, obviously, so you guys can see it all.
And we'll put up a poll somewhere so you guys can vote on who had the better selection of arcs. So.
Yeah, so we'll combine the Twitter votes with we get the votes on YouTube. All right. Thank you guys for listening. Of course, if you guys have any comments, you can let us know down below. Other than that, that's going to do it for today's podcast. Have an absolutely wonderful night.